Many of us would now be aware of the federal government's proposal to reduce the speed limit along unsigned roads to as low as 70 kilometres an hour, a decision which many in this chamber would know is completely out of touch with the realities faced by rural Australians. But what you might not also be aware in this place is that in rural New South Wales, we are already seeing speed reductions being implemented as an alternative to proper road maintenance. Earlier this year, a number of Boorowa residents contacted me expressing deep concern and frustration that a 43-kilometre stretch of Rugby Road, a vital thoroughfare for this community, had its speed limit reduced from 100 kilometres an hour down to 80. At the time, I made representations to the New South Wales Minister for Transport and sought an explanation for what led to this determination. The response from the Minister and from Transport for New South Wales was to a certain extent understandable. The New South Wales Police had raised concerns about the speed limit given the road's current condition, and I strongly believe we should adhere to the advice of emergency responders. However, in the time that's passed, there's been no commitment to fund the works that are needed to return this road to an acceptable standard that would support a 100 kilometre speed limit to be reinstated. Reducing speed limits should never be a substitute for properly maintaining and upgrading our roads. As the local member, the safety of my constituents is my utmost priority, and those affected by this decision have also made it clear that they genuinely support measures to improve road safety. But if Rugby Road was a priority for review, then it must also be a priority for investment, so that the road's condition and any potential hazards can be addressed properly and expeditiously. We have children that must get to school, patients who need to attend health appointments, and families who travel long distances for the most basic necessities like food and fuel. Speed reductions increase driver fatigue, they worsen rural isolation, and they send a message to residents that their tax dollars are being spent elsewhere rather than in their own communities. Beyond these immediate impacts, there are flow-on effects for our local economies. The Boorowa Business Chamber has warned that travellers may now bypass the town altogether because of the added travel time, which is a direct hit to that local economy. And in the community where the largest industry is agriculture, these speed reductions are particularly damaging. The Bureau of Meteorology reported just this week that New South Wales has experienced its driest October since 2019, and members of this place have heard me speak time and again about the unfolding drought in southern New South Wales. The New South Wales Minister for Agriculture continues to push back on transport subsidies for farmers for the movement of water, fodder and livestock. Our producers are paying through the roof, not just to put food on their own tables, but for those tables here in the city and across the country. Speed reductions only add to these costs because drivers are spending more time on the road. Speed reductions also mean that the livestock being transported to market spend longer on trucks, which is far from ideal as we get into the hotter months. So as I stand here today, I'm not only calling on the government to invest in the money needed to upgrade Rugby Road, but to acknowledge that cost cutting at the expense of rural taxpayers and reprioritising road funding to other projects directly impacts the productivity and of our agricultural communities that sustain this state. One Boorowa resident summed it up best. And they said this, quote, "Out here, we don't ask much from our local and state governments, except good roads for the rates and taxes we pay. We're just sick of regional Australians being sidelined. And I would leave it with the New South Wales government and their federal counterparts to have a good look at how regional roads funding is prioritised to make sure that we get our fair share. Thank you.